I'm gonna do right now is I finally got my Rhino-Rack in the mail, and today I'm gonna focus on getting the Rhino-Rack built. So I'll be assembling the Rhino-Rack itself. There's some boxes behind me with the mounting hardware. Came in a few days ago, about a week and a half ago. I'm going to assemble that and get this everything else installed. So the mounting hardware for the Jeep, along with the already assembled Rhino-Rack, get it all mounted up. The entire kit is going to be the maximum stereo roof rack. So I'm going to go through the.
Hey you, I saw you from the distance. Hey you, can we talk? Hey you.
All right, so this is the parts list as well as the instructions, and I'm not gonna lie, this scared me for a little bit because at a quick glance I'm looking at it thinking that all this stuff you see right here is what was supposed to be on the packing list, but no, it's broken down. So I have the 42-103 Bravo Foxtrot kit, and that's gonna be all the stuff that comes on in that packing list. I'm still not familiar with the names, but these look like these are gonna be the slats that run along the length of the vehicle. They're gonna be components that run the width of the vehicle. I believe the size I got was a 56 by 72 or 54 by 76. It's long enough that it extends a little bit past the freedom panels, but I'll still be able to remove the freedom panels. And again, these are going to be the supports that you see. These are the slats running lengthwise, and these are going to be the side pieces and all the associated hardware. Those are going to be the corners it look like. The way Rhino-Rack did it is that some of the hardware count is already installed. For example, I was looking for locking nuts, but they're already installed in these slats right here, which is also accountable for on the parts list. So I was looking around for these, like where are these things at, but they're already been installed along with their nuts. For example, they have 30 washers total, flat washers, but they're split between two bags. So there was 10 in one bag, 20 in the other bag. I tried breaking everything down as much as it can make sense, and it is a revolving door of parts being all over the place. So all right, so the first thing the instruction has you do is install these 4 end caps into your 2 ends. All right, so there's 2 of each, and they're only going to fit one or the other way. So once you have these installed, and hopefully you get your screws separated, it's going to say these little Phillips head screwdrivers or Phillips head screws, 4 of them, 1 on each side, is going to secure these end caps to the rail itself. So we're going to go ahead and do that. All right, so screw, end cap. I already did all 4 of them, and I'm moving on to the next step. Step 2 is something that's already been done from the factory. These end caps have been installed on the planks. All right, there's supposed to be a total of 2, 4 times 5 is 20. So there's supposed to be 20 of them installed along with their self-locking nuts. So those are already installed. All right, so step 3 is gonna be installing these planks into these side rails right here. All right, so you're gonna start seeing the rails take shape. So that's gonna be the next step. Installing these planks into the side rails right here. So it's about to start taking shape very shortly.
Yeah, it's true, you're all I want. You're all I want. I lose my own sight. It's out of my mind.
All right, so I grabbed the wrong part. We're not doing the sides right now. We're doing the ends, or the front and the back. That's the part you're grabbing. So the first part we just screwed the caps onto, we're grabbing. All right, so this is what the screws and washer is gonna look like. That secures the planks to the ends to the rear and front. It's gonna be the smaller of the two. You're gonna have a longer M6 one, but this is gonna be your M620. This is gonna be your M616. So we're gonna use our M616 and the flat washers that come in the bag with it to secure our planks to the sides. All right, so the smaller ones are what we're gonna use. All right, so I'm just going through. The ends are on. I'm just going around and tighten everything up. With the ends is you're gonna take your Phillips head screwdriver or Phillips head screw, and you're gonna put them in here. So 2 in each for a total of 8. So in here. And after that, you're gonna start fitting these things to the ends to get your sides. Alright, now I'm gonna go through and check this with the Phillips to make sure they're nice and tight. And what it looks like is gonna happen is, as these are going to the end, this side is gonna go into your side rails. This little slot you see right here, remember we put the caps on our back and forth rail side, and it's just gonna slide in like a little track. And that's what's gonna lock it into place to create your square. All right, so these right here, these ends are gonna slide into the rail themselves, that's on the side. And this little slot right here is gonna slide into little grooves on the end caps that we put on earlier, one of the first things we did. And that's gonna make your square. So we're gonna do that right now. Let's slide it in the groove first. And you're also gonna want these upside down as well. I just noticed that. You're gonna want to slide them in the grooves. This looks about right, like that. You're gonna take your sides, and there's a little screw. There's one screw spot on the edge for you to screw it in to lock it in a little bit. Boom, like that. All right, and I'm gonna come through with the screwdriver and screw everything in. All right, so at this point, the rack is, we're gonna say about 35% complete right now, really. So what I gotta do next is put in these crossbar supports and then flip it over. And then these little things are gonna go on top to support it from the top. And that will make it more rigid. So at this point, the instructions from Rhino-Rack suggest going to your manufacturer, your vehicle specific, or your, in my case, my Maximus 3 bracket specific instructions for installing these supports. Because these supports and these holes is gonna depend, where these are going is gonna depend on where you're gonna mount it on the vehicle. So there's multiple holes for you to mount these 5 different cross supports. So for me, I'm gonna follow what Maximus 3 tells me to do. All right. For the long rack, it's gonna be different for the short rack. It's gonna have a different, actually you have to drill a hole in this for the short rack. All right, so make sure you're paying attention to that. Again, on Maximus 3, they're gonna tell you on all the holes they want you to mount it at. All right, via small or short rack. So make sure you're looking at that. Make sure you're paying attention. This would be the front of the rack because of where these holes are. So that means I'm gonna have to, and I gotta flip them. So they do matter where you turn. It's all based off of this Rhino-Rack symbol right here. It says rearward. This says rear right here. Slats, 1, 2. 1, 2 needs to be at the front of your platform. So now I have to loosen these up, slide these back out, and flip them. We'll put it in first. Put it in the side first. Screw it, and then I'm going to come in and lock it in so that the back side is holding it for me. Okay. Lock it in from this side. Boom, now it's supported. Then this side in. See, nothing to worry about. Good to go. This is why I feel it's good to have these install videos. Hopefully there's not a left and right side to these things. I really hope. First condition. In the crossbar as shown and rotate 90 degrees. I can tell there's groove sides. There's little slats on this side right here. Flat, little slats. The slat is facing upwards as we're looking at it. All right. And rotate them 90 degrees. Same thing on the other side. Slide it down. Rotate it 90 degrees. Now this says refer back to the Rhino-Rack installation guide for the mounting of the hardware. Mounting, and I'm gonna show it to you guys. So, reading the instructions, it looks like there's 2 washers that we have left and a spring washer that's easy to locate. It has a cut right here and it bends slightly up. All right, so this washer is slightly wider than this washer. It looks like the smaller washer is gonna sit on top of the channel nut. Right, so it's gonna sit on top of the channel nut, and then you're gonna put a lock washer on this bolt, followed by this washer, right, and then the channel nut, and this washer is gonna come up and lock it in. Spring washer first. I just don't have that spring washer. So spring washer, then this flat washer. It's called an OD washer. Whatever the outer diameter, I don't know. So that's what we're gonna do. That was difficult. Bolt, spring washer, bigger washer, then underneath you're gonna have the smaller washer, then the channel nut. After I got my screws, lock washer, bigger washer, and the smaller one on the bottom. I kind of find it easier to take my finger and lift up on that channel nut, because it looks like this lock washer, because there's a bend in it, it has the screw going into the angles, making it harder to thread. So if I lift it up, a pain in the butt, but it seems to work better. Oh, that worked really good that time. boom. This one will be after M3. It's gonna be M1. We're gonna skip that. We're gonna go to Charlie 1. All right, so again, get that nut in there. Lock washer. Then our bigger washer and our smaller washer. We're gonna go on top of that lock washer or that channel nut. Then it's a matter of getting this thing hooked up. Getting this ready. This last one goes fast. And this is going into, we're going to make sure we're putting it into R2, front of the platform. R2 is going to be the one further away. The two holes is one further away. Slide that down. Lock washer, bigger washer, and then the small. And those grooves in that channel nut is going to grab the lip of these crossbars. It's going to hold it. Alright, so those are installed. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Alright, so again, I find it, get my finger under there, I have skinny fingers, and try to get it flat against the surface. Now when it comes time to tighten these, I believe they suggest you get everything as centered as possible in these holes to keep that bar straight. If you have a level, go ahead and use a level. This time I'm using the Allen key. This one, risk anything of blowing out these lips on here, so I use the Allen key provided. Install the supports on this side. That's going to be the next step. Alright, so for the corner slots, the 5 on this side and 5 on this side, it doesn't really break down where this flat washer is going to go. So I'm going to put it under the bottom, coming from this side on that. Put it on the bottom. Then once it comes through, you only have 10 washers remaining. That's by itself. You also have 20 other washers, but clearly those are for the center ones. Now I'm gonna put the washer on top, and then the self-locking nut is gonna go into this little groove right here. But first I'm gonna make sure my socket can fit in there. If my socket can't fit there, I'm gonna do everything in reverse. I'm gonna come over the top of here, and put this in, and tighten like that. I'm pretty sure this T-bolt goes under the bottom, as a matter of fact. Yeah, I'm sure it does, because once you line this up there and you turn it a little bit, it falls into the track somewhat. So I'm pretty sure this T-bolt goes under the bottom and it's supposed to come up. So that's exactly what I'm not gonna tighten anything up until I have all of them in. Outside, inside, everything. Then I'm gonna go around and tighten everything up. So T-bolt, washer, these 20 slots right here. That's gonna go in the center. And then I have 20 screws, washers, and lock washers that are gonna go in there also. And then we're good to go. I'm gonna tighten everything down and the platform will be complete. So I'll do a few of them so you can see the process. There's nuts already in these integrated in this one right here. I don't know if all of them is gonna come like that. There's little captive nuts. but there's nuts already in here. Right, because the part numbers for one of these sets was different. What actually is on these, engraved or whatever you wanted to say, that's on these, was different than the actual part number in the manual. So I was like, uh-oh, have to do it with the Allen key they provided me. These screws, these last 20 screws, have like a shaft sticking out of the center that I don't have a tool for. I know I don't have a tool for. I guess it's a security thing. They did call it locking something. I didn't understand what we were talking about. It does have that hole so you can fit it in there, like boom. All right, other than that, you're gonna be screwed. We're doing screw, lock washer, and then washer. All right, so screw, lock washer, washer. Checking that all these T-bolts are engaged in the little groove at the bottom. Like for instance, this one feels like it's sitting up on top, and yeah, it didn't come all the way through the bolt.